Hello, one all, Dr. Stone, Chapter 208, Science Transcends Humanity, and we finally entered the age of computers! Yay! Admittedly, they are rather simple computers with rather small memory capacity. Seriously, someone actually did the calculations online and found that the glass disc that was used to record Lillian's song has more memory on it than this entire computer they built, which... Oh, that's insane. That is so utterly, utterly insane. And really shows, they have a long, long way to go before they can start playing Dragon Quest. But getting even this far required a whole lot of hard work, and thankfully they have three of the best people in Corn City on the job right now. Yuzu, the head of the Handicrafts Club, who has shown time and time again that she is a master with her hands. Seriously, she can make entire outfits in the span of like 2 seconds. She is terrifying. She's so terrifying. Then we have Joel, the watchmaker, who apparently is doing okay. I mean, his left arm seems to not be crushed anymore, which definitely interesting. I mean, this is the first time we've actually really seen it since, it was crushed by Brody way back when, but he seems to be doing okay. And he's even blushing right now, which I freaking love. He's still not good at dealing with girls, and now he's sandwiched between two of them, which... Oh, that's cute. That is so cute. And then finally, we have Luna, who is described as being a surgeon, which, yeah, that sounds wrong. That sounds so very wrong. I mean, seriously, this girl made it through, 1 year of medical school. That's it. She, at the most, practiced, basic stitching. I don't really think it's appropriate to call her a surgeon right now, though I guess in the Stone Age, she's the closest thing they have to a surgeon. Still, it feels like a weird title to give to her, and I guess, knowing how hard she worked in medical school, she would have tried, time and time again, day and night, to practice her sewing. Practice her stitching to make sure it was utterly perfect. So, I guess it makes some sense. But as for the rest of them, yeah, they are just really frustrated with this work and want to give up, but thankfully, Jen, Senku, and Ryu know exactly what to do to motivate them as they announce the Stone World Math Olympics tournament. Oh, I freaking love it. It feels very appropriate that this is happening right around the same time the Olympics were happening in Japan. Just saying. And the grand prize of 100 million Dragos is enough to really motivate Yo and Magma to give it their all, to really try and do their best to get this computer up and running. Oh, they are so easy to manipulate. It's not even funny at this point. Actually, no, it is definitely funny. But even they aren't enough to get the job totally done, so they decide to start waking up some more people. Yay! And it looks like next up on the list is some more soldiers, which... Oh, I love it. After 3,000 years being petrified, they wake up and immediately salute their superior officer, I think? I mean, the guy's got a mustache, so I think he's the superior officer here. Meanwhile, the guy in the background is trying so very hard not to cry. It's actually adorable. It really is adorable. And there's something rather interesting. The one guy has a 51 painted on his arm, which... Is that a tattoo? Is that his old military regiment? They were the 51st Brigade. I don't actually know military regiments. I'm assuming that's something like that. I mean, that would make a certain amount of sense, but if so, does Medusa not cure tattoos? Does it not view them as injuries, as blemishes, as something that needs to be cured? I mean, I'm not actually sure about that. Some people are saying, oh, that's the number that was put on his arm, that was painted on his arm, to say which order they should wake everyone up in, but that doesn't, make much sense either. That would paint on the outside of the stone, so once they, were unpetrified, once they woke up, that definitely would have broken off. It wouldn't have, bleached down to the skin below, I don't think, so very curious about that, very curious about that. And I'm guessing these are Stanley's fellow soldiers who weren't able to, stay awake for 3,000 years, so the regular revival fluid didn't work, and they needed to use the miracle revival fluid that only Senku knew the recipe for, that Zeno never figured out how to make. Also, it's time to harvest the corn, which is interesting. I mean, are we saying the corn, kept growing on its own without human intervention for those 7 years? Or did they plant corn when they first got back to Corn City, and now they're coming back in for the harvest, which would mean, it has been several months since they first got here, so curious about that. Very curious about that. And then they decide to make some memory for their computer, and the way they go about this is rather fascinating, as they take a regular piece of iron oxide and then magnetize it one way or the other to recognize it as being a 1 or a 0, and they combine a whole bunch of those into a grid to store way more data. And while this method may seem incredibly simple, it was actually used for space shuttles. I actually looked up online, saw the ones that were actually used for them. They were so utterly massive and just stacked on top of one another. It was literally insane, and they are just so tiny. Seriously, they're 0.5 millimeters in diameter. That is so small, and just, oh god, they have to make so very many of them. They have to make 30 million of them and stitch them all together. Oh my god, they look so utterly defeated in this moment here. I mean, yes, they have a lot of manpower, so it won't be entirely impossible, but still, this is not going to be easy at all. But Brody at least seems very happy to be doing the work. I mean, he's blushing, has that big smile on his face as he just keeps making little magnets again and again and again. It's actually adorable. It's actually really adorable. He is a true engineer. Like Kasaki and Joel, he is a craftsman, and he loves his work. He loves making things, getting stuff done. Building things like a computer is his big dream, his big goal in this Stone Age, and he's just so happy to get the chance to do it again. And I'm really hoping that when Kasaki eventually gets to Corn City and meets Joel, Brody will join them for a drink to toast to all their creations, to toast to all they managed to do in the Stone Age. Oh, I love that. I freaking love that. And the next panel, though, is a little bit concerning because we see a soldier blushing as he looks at Yuzu, which is, yeah, I'm sorry, man. She's kind of spoken for. I mean, yes, Taiju isn't the kind of guy to, punch somebody for looking at his girl, but still, it's a little bit rude, man. It's a little bit rude right there. And then once they actually have the grids all set up, they need to add more wires going diagonally so they can actually read the data that's being stored on the computer, which... Oh, these poor guys. These poor guys. Especially because, just the precision of this needs to be absolutely perfect. If they miss a single one, if they don't tighten correctly, perfectly in one spot, it could utterly ruin the entire thing and lead to whatever they make basically breaking down on them. Oh, that is just so awful. And so very stressful. And then, to put it all together, they need to make some Nixie tubes to properly display the numbers that are supposed to be represented by these wires and magnets. And, thankfully Joel is a craftsman, he is an engineer, he is a watchmaker, he's able to put it together very easily. Good for him. And then they have it, the actual first computer of the Stone Age. Huzzah! And then before the Math Olympics actually starts up, Chelsea discovers a whole bunch of oil in India, which, yay! I guess they're still in India. I mean, is this the same city they were in before, where they first found Sai, where they built everything up? Or is it the second city they discovered as they were passing through India? I'm not actually sure about that. I'm not actually sure where the oil reserves are likely to be in India. So curious, very curious about that. We still haven't gotten the announcement, though, that, Math City acquired, so... I'm not sure. I mean, they say they're going across the Indian Ocean, so I think they've, fully and utterly left India now, but I don't know, I'm just really weirded out by that. And, I guess the next destination will be, I've been saying Papua New Guinea for the rubber plantations, but someone online who said it was probably going to be more like Malaysia or Indonesia, which, could be interesting, could definitely be interesting. I know absolutely nothing about either of those countries, or Papua New Guinea for that matter. Though somebody did also say online that Indonesia was actually colonized by Japan, so that could definitely, give us some groundwork for some very interesting storylines in Indonesia. I think it'd be very interesting to say. I was hoping, when we actually got to India, the place that had been just ransacked so very many times by so many people from Europe, that they mention all the evils of colonization at some point, but maybe Indonesia. I mean, if Japan actually did, colonize Indonesia, that'd be more applicable to Japanese people, the Japanese audience reading this. I mean, just a thought. Anyway, the Math Olympics begin. Our first three contestants are Chrome, who looks so very nervous. And, he has every right to be. He's definitely gotten better at math, but he is nowhere near the level of Senku or Sai. Senku looks utterly amused, and Sai actually almost looks bored. But anyway, then back in good old Corn City, we have Magma, the biggest idiots in the entire team, basically. Oh, poor Magma. You were literally picked here because you're just so stupid and so utterly bad at math. I love it. I freaking love it. Though there was definitely something symbolic here about science leveling the playing field, because Magma was so upset, back at the start of the series, that science made Senku and the rest of them, the weak people, as strong as he was, stronger than he was, and now science is making him as smart as Senku is. I mean, kinda. And then we get to see the Math Olympics question. It is certainly something else. I mean, seriously, that is a lot of numbers, and that is not something I really think I could figure out all that quickly. I mean, maybe, if I was given an hour, a bunch of paper, I could figure it out, but honestly, I'm not even sure where to get started. I'm actually very unclear about the order of operations in a problem like that. Yeah, math is not my strong suit. Math is definitely not my strong suit. But Chrome is able to enter all the digits into the computer and properly read the solution, which, is very impressive for him. I mean, seriously, he's able to recognize, the billions, the millions, the thousands, the 10 places, all that, which is, a good step for him. And thanks to the power of science, Magma's been able to transcend the limits of humanity. Huzzah! Good for you, Magma. You definitely deserve to win. Oh, you poor guy. And this is with an incomplete computer. Yuzu was only able to sew a few thousand of these memory sheets together, and Senku's final order requested 30 million of them, so when it actually gets there, I'd be amazed to see what kind of computer they are capable of building. Maybe even one that is truly capable of playing Dragon Quest. Oh, that'd be amazing. That'd be so, so amazing. Someone said, oh, they're going to be able to play Doom on this soon, and maybe? I mean, Doom versus Dragon Quest, that is a big, big difference. I mean, Doom is kind of 3D game. It's more or less a 3D game. There's a whole argument about that I could get into. And it requires, physics calculations, all that. While Dragon Quest, turn-based RPG combat that is much, much simpler to program, to deal with, to, basically run on a computer. So, yeah, it feels like Dragon Quest will be, their first choice over Doom. Though I could certainly see us getting a Doom reference at some point in the series. That'd be fun. That'd be a lot of fun. And then they get their prize money! Yay! Though it's not in the form of actual money, but rather in almost digital currency at this point, which is, worrying. Very, very worrying. I mean, Ryu has made the first bank in the world, and he basically controls not only money, but more or less the supply of money and its value, and he can basically just, say, okay, here's 1,000, here's 1,000,000 Drago's currency. He could basically, completely and utterly dominate the market because he is the one in command. He's the one in control of everything. And if it was anyone else other than Ryu and Senku, actually no, I was going to say if it's anyone else besides them, I'd be worried about massive corruption, but that is still a very, very real possibility right here of Senku and Ryu basically manipulating the market in order to make sure they get the rocket built, in order to make sure that everyone gets, properly paid for and compensated for all their hard work, which, yeah, that's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. I mean, currency in this new age is a big question, a very, very big question. And, since there's only one currency and it's basically valued at whatever Ryu and Senku say it's valued at, that's concerning. It's a very, very big concern with this new age. And I've said before, but I really do think the next antagonist of the series is going to be the CEO of Nanami Corp. Sai and Ryu's father/uncle, the one who was in charge of the company, wants to come back in this new age and basically make back his fortune through unscrupulous methods, through corruption, through evil things, maybe even making his own currency that he can control and manipulate, and possibly even destroying the bank records of the Ryuzu Bank, because if he actually destroys the memory of the computer, then, everyone's money is basically gone. No one can actually say how much money any one person has, which would be, very, very bad and would utterly destroy the economy of this new Stone Age. So curious, very, very curious about that. But please let me know down below. What do you think of Ryu forming the Stone Age's first bank? Because, oh, that gives him so very, very much power when he already is, the first or second most powerful person in the entire world right now. I mean, I guess third if you count the Y-Man, and he's only really behind Senku, but even that, if you argue that, he has more power and influence than Senku does right now, which, oh, that's terrifying. That's so utterly, utterly terrifying. Where do you think the next destination is? Are they going to make another stop in India? Are they going to go to Papua New Guinea, India, Malaysia, Japan, Australia? What's their next destination? Where are they going next? Let me know what you think all this down below. Be sure to like and subscribe to the next video. And until then, peace!